there are definitely some things I would tell 20-year-old me just starting out and trying to get my career going. If you're like me, forever having a chip on your shoulder, growing up with one pair of shoes at a time, unless we count the dollar store flip-flops, getting socks and underwear for your birthday, and no one expecting you to go to college so that you have to figure out how to pay for it while working a couple minimum wage jobs, then you might also appreciate these hard-won truths that I've earned over the years. Welcome, I'm Erin, and if you want to learn more about me, you can check out my channel page. Let's get into it. We're going to go from number 9 to number 1, so stay tuned because number 1 is my very favorite and the most impactful. Coming in at number 9, the faster you figure out what you stand for and what you won't, not don't, won't, the faster you can make decisions around hard choices and trade-offs. I want to give you a really quick example on this one. I was working at a fairly new job. I'd been there for a couple of months, and the CEO who I was reporting to at the time got upset about something and threw a chair across the room. I was out of there in 2 weeks. That is something that I personally will not stand for. I don't think that there is any room in my world for people to lose their tempers and throw things across rooms. And each of us has to make our own choices around that. This isn't me saying that you shouldn't accept that. You have to figure out what are the things that you are okay with and what are the things that you won't accept. Coming in at number 8, nobody cares. Nobody cares about your high school GPA or that college party that you went to, or the hot sex or lack thereof. Nobody cares. Everyone else is too wrapped up in their own lives and their own problems to think about what's going on in your life for more than a fleeting second. In the last 25 years, not one person has asked what my high school GPA is. I was not an invested student, not even a little bit. And it's mattered far less than I could have ever imagined. Now you might be wondering what it is, but that's only because you're curious, not because you care, because it doesn't matter at all. Coming in at number 7, we have the most important decision you'll ever make, and this is your life partner. I'm talking about the person that you decide to spend your life with. That person is going to get to know all the bits of you, every single bit, the good bits, the bad bits, the ugly bits, the crying bits, the emotional bits, the insecure bits. It's incredibly important that you pick someone that is going to be there through thick and thin. That is the most important decision you will ever make because it will shape how you show up for the rest of your life. Number 6, if you can find people different from you that also truly care about you, hold on to them with everything you have because they will make your life all the richer for it. A very good friend of mine is a lawyer and she sees the world massively different than I do. And not just because she's a lawyer, but because she grew up in a different country than I grew up in. Now we both live in the US, but she had an entirely different formative experience than I did. There's a variety of reasons why people could be very different than you, and it opens your mind to so many more perspectives than just your own. It gets you out of your own lens of the world, and it allows you to see beyond what you're able to see when you stay in your own bubble. Number 5, your attitude is the transparency of your mindset. Every single day you get to wake up and decide how you're going to show up. If you woke up tomorrow morning with $1 million, ask yourself, would you be happy? I'm going to imagine you've said yes. Because for most of us, whether money is our driver or not, waking up with $1 million in our bank account tomorrow would make us happy. If I said in a week, delay the $1 million, in a week you could wake up with $10 million, I imagine you would say, sure, I'll delay the $1 million, and in a week I'll wake up with $10 million. But now imagine if I said, you could have that $1 million or that $10 million today, but you will not wake up tomorrow. Would you still want that $1 million or that $10 million? And yet, we wake up and we grumble about this and we complain about that. But here's the thing, you're waking up today, and even though you don't have $1 million, you've just agreed that you'd rather wake up today than have $1 million today and not wake up tomorrow. Think about that, and think about how your attitude is reflected out into the world. What is your mindset around what's most valuable to you and how you reflect that into the world? Number 4, I've often heard the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I don't agree with that. I want to reframe that for you right now. It's not who you know, it's who thinks of you when there's an opportunity that arises. When there's an opportunity in the workplace and you pop into that person's head that knows about that opportunity and they reach out to you, or they reach out to, say, the hiring manager and they drop your name, or they suggest that that person reaches out and has a conversation with you, I believe that's what's really meant by it's not what you know, it's who you know. If you know a lot of people but nobody thinks highly of you, or nobody thinks of you in the moment when the opportunity arises and they think of somebody else, it doesn't really matter if they know you. Just remember that. It's not what you know or who you know. It's who thinks of you when the opportunity arises, when it's a match between what you're bringing to the table and the thing that's needed. Number 3, all the advice that you receive about what to do with your life, your career, your time, your money is everyone else telling you how they would spend their life if they had what you have. But they don't have what you have, and they don't have the same mind and the same outlook and the same skills and the same thoughts that you do. You have to make up your own mind about what's right for you. Right after my second son was born, I got some advice from my manager. She said, you need to decide if you're going to focus on being a mom or focus on having a career. Her advice was well-meaning, and she didn't have kids because she was focused on having a career. That was advice based on the choices that she made. Long story short, it was great advice for her, and it was terrible advice for me. I've been thinking about doing a video on that particular topic and terrible advice. Let me know if that's interesting to you and if you would like my thoughts on that. Following number 3, you are allowed to change your mind at any time, as many times as you want. You can always choose. I am presently restarting for the 5th time. And each time when I've restarted, it was the right thing to do at that moment in time because the path I was on was no longer serving my future, and I needed and or wanted to change paths. And that's okay. Each time I choose to start again, I choose that because the path I'm going down no longer suits where I want to go in my life and who I have become. And I have saved the best for last. Apple. What did you picture just now? Was it red? I'm going to bet it was, but let me know what popped into your head. So what does an apple or a red apple have to do with my number 1 tip? My number 1 tip is in this life, become so well known for something that just like when somebody says the word apple, when somebody says your name, it is synonymous with that thing that you are so good at. And I don't mean becoming rich and famous and wealthy. I mean genuinely get so good at something. And it doesn't matter what it is. We are all unique and all individual, and it would be unfair for me or anyone else to tell you to go be really good at this or really good at that. Go be really good at the thing you want to be really good at. Practice it and practice it and practice it. Practice it when no one is looking. I encourage you, while cringy, to go back and look at my very first video. I've left it up on this channel. It is an absolute disaster, but I was a beginner. It was my first video that I filmed, that I sat down in front of this camera as a camera shy person, as an introvert, as someone who has never done anything related to videos before in my life. And you will see where I started, and then think about the journey that I've been on since that video to now. I have an enormous way to go. I'm still a beginner, but I am not as much of a beginner as I was in that very first video. And if I can do it, you certainly can too. What would you add to this list? Until next time, take care and stay true to yourself.